to give you an information about a book called The Court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq by Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta, his full name was Abu Abdullah Muhammad Ibn Battuta. He was born on 24 February 1304 and died in 1368 or 1369. The date is unknown. And he is commonly known as Ibn Battuta. And he was an Arabs, Berber, Maghrebi scholar and explorer. And he also belonged to Morocco. And he traveled extensively in the lands of Afro-Eurasia, largely in the Muslim world, traveling more than any other explorer in pre-modern history. His total kilometer of travel was 1,17,000 kilometer, and it had surpassed Zheng He with about 50,000 kilometer and Marco Polo with 24,000 kilometer. And over a period of 30 years, Ibn Battuta visited most of the southern Eurasia, including Central Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, China, and the Iberian Peninsula. And near the end of his life, he had dictated an account of his journeys titled A Gift to Those Who Contemplate the Wonders of Cities and the Marvels of Traveling, but commonly known as the Rihla. I have already told you his full name, so now we will get to know about his profession. He was, by profession, he was a geographer, jurist, judge, and explorer. And he left out an exclusive note on Tughlaq dynasty. Okay, now who is Tughlaq? Muhammad bin Tughlaq, also known as Prince Fakhr Malik Jona Khan, Ulugh Khan, 1290 born and died in 20 March 1351. He was the Sultan of Delhi from 1325 to 1351, and he was also the eldest son of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, and he was the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty. Then Ghiyasuddin sent the young Muhammad the Deccan to campaign against King Pratap Rudra of the Kakatiya dynasty, whose capital was at Warangal in 1321 and 1323. Muhammad has been described as an inhuman, eccentric with bizarre character by the accounts of visitors during his rule, and he was said to have ordered the massacre of all the inhabitants of the Hindu city of Kannauj, and he was also known for wild policy swings, and Muhammad ascended to the Delhi throne upon his father's death in 1325. And he was also interested in medicine and was skilled in several languages, Persian, Arabic, Turkish, and Sanskrit. Besides Ibn Battuta, the famous traveler and jurist from Morocco, he was a guest at his court and wrote about his suzerainty in his book. Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he has been described by some as a mad king. People term him as mad king for all his projects like the transfer of capital from Delhi to Dolatabad, introduction of token currency, experiment in dope, and expedition to Kangra were all unsuccessful. That's why he is called a mad king. Ibn Battuta in 1934, he had arrived in India all the way through the mountains of Afghanistan during the time when Tughlaq dynasty was at its height. On his approach towards Sultan Muhammad Tughlaq, he learned that the great Sultan liked to take gifts from his visitors, and in return, the Sultan used to give gifts, which were of far superior worth to visitors. So therefore, Ibn Battuta, on meeting with Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he presented him with arrows, camels, 30 horses, slaves, and some other goods. In return, Muhammad bin Tughlaq responded him with a welcome gift of 2,000 silver dinars and a furnace house and the job of judge with an annual salary of 5,000 silver dinars. Memories about Tughlaq dynasty. So, in the memories of Tughlaq dynasty, Ibn Battuta, he had studied and wrote extensively about the history of the famous Qutb complex and also about Quwat al-Islam Mosque, and last but not least about the famous Qutb Minar. He had also depicted how the long famine, which lasted for about 7 years from 1335 AD, which killed many people near Delhi, and during this time, the Sultan was busy in attacking the rebellions. And torture during Tughlaq dynasty, this is also depicted by him. The Sultan was tough both against non-Muslims and Muslims. For this, consider an example. A week was not passed without the spilling of Muslim blood and the running of streams of gore ahead of entrance of his palace, which included the cutting of people in half, skinning them alive, chopping off their heads, and displaying them on poles or making prisoners tossed about by elephants with swords attached to their task, which was a warning sign to other people. So he was a very cruel tyrant also, or leader, or that king also at the time. And this was all written by Ibn Battuta in his travel memoir. And even the Sultan, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was also ready to shed blood of people at any time. He used to punish people of his empire on small faults without the respect of persons, whether the fault was of anyone. They were brought to his hall and brutally punished. And in Tughlaq dynasty, the punishments were given to those people who were of Muslim religion and were suspected as a rebellion. Let's take an example here that Sheikh Zainab al-Din, this briefly explained the way he was imprisoned and tortured. On 14th day of persecution, the Sultan sent him food, but Sheikh Zainab al-Din refused to eat it. After that, consequently, when the Sultan heard that this Sheikh Zainab al-Din had refused to eat, then he was ill-treated by the Sultan himself. And Ibn Battuta also wrote that when he was in Delhi, the Sultan's official demanded bribes from him and also deducted 10% of sums from the gifts which was given to him by the Sultan himself. Ibn Battuta had also developed a friendship with a Sufi Muslim holy man during his end term of stay in Tughlaq dynasty. But after hearing this, the Sultan ordered to arrest both. After some time, Sultan allowed Ibn Battuta, or what it is called, I don't know, but I have pronounced as Ibn Battuta, to take his people from India, but the Sufi Muslim was killed. The way he was killed is portrayed as follows. The Sultan used to pluck the beard of the holy man's hair by hair and then made him to get banished from Delhi. After a while, the Sultan ordered holy man to return to court, but he refused. Then the man was arrested, tortured in the most horrible way, and then beheaded. And this was all explicitly written by the author himself.